You can cope. The words we hate most, how are you coping? These are words that are really, really difficult.
It was a road traffic accident when I lost my son. I was 18 years old.
I decided to phone the helpline one night because I wanted to talk about my child, and I couldn't go on to phoning up friends and family.
The times I tended to ring were around 4 o'clock because I found that a very difficult time. Part of me was waiting for her key in the lock, and to be able to phone and just say that to somebody who would understand what that felt like.
It's just surviving, really. You're trying to survive something dreadful that's happened to you.
I volunteer to put something back, because when something like this happens to you, you think you're the only one.
Just those words, tell me about Helen. Bereaved parents say, mention my child's name, it may bring tears to my eyes, but it's always music to my ears.
The death of a child is the most profound sorrow any parent could ever know. It's something that they could never prepare for, an experience that's often impossible to communicate.
My youngest daughter, Helen, who's the youngest of my 4 children, died in an accident, suddenly, unexpectedly. I was thrown into that terrible shock. The sense of isolation when you lose a child is enormous. You feel very lonely and very different from everybody else.
You're living in a place and with a legacy that most people just find too much to even think about. So knowing instantly that, you know, you're talking to somebody who's been there, but you just don't doubt their qualification, for want of a better word, to be able to interact with you. And they know that the person who picks up the phone will have some idea of how they're feeling.
I wanted to help other people. I'd lost a child. I knew what I'd been through, and I wanted to somehow reassure them that I've been through something similar to you. I know how you feel.
The Child Death Helpline isn't a counselling service. It's an opportunity for bereaved parents to talk to a sympathetic listener, and it's staffed by volunteers who are themselves bereaved parents.
I can still remember her voice and the way she gave me space just to cry, and then she'd ask just the right question, and she gave me permission to talk and to talk about who they were and your memories of them, not just how they died and what happened at the end. I felt really grateful to speak to her. She was such a wise woman and so helpful, and her son had died, I think, 9 or 11 years ago, so she had that sort of longer view, really.
I think a lot of people presume, because of the name the Child Death Helpline, that the helpline is for perhaps just for parents of young children, and I think it's really important to stress that we're here for anybody who's been affected by the death of a child. So that can be siblings, it can be grandparents, it can be other relatives, it can be professionals who worked with a child. And that our definition of child is very broad, so it runs from pre-birth to adulthood.
I had a lady ring up and say, my son was 39 when he died, is that too old to ring you? And I said, no, it's your child, it doesn't matter.
No parent actually expects to outlive their child, and that can happen at any age.
We take calls from people who've lost children within the last week, and we take calls from people who've lost children many years ago. As the years pass, it becomes more and more difficult for them to talk. Friends and family assume that they're okay and they're doing all right, and it's kind of, they're over it, they've moved on. It may be that a particular event has triggered off feelings in them which they need to express, which they haven't done previously.
You get some people that will probably ring at certain times of the year, like coming up to a birthday or, you know, approaching Christmas, and that's probably when they feel more emotional and remembering their child more, and they feel the need to talk to somebody, you know, just get some hurt and pain off their chest.
My experience of working on bereavement and writing advice columns over the years has taught me that this tragedy can affect anyone in any walk of life, regardless of their relationship to the child.
I lost my son 4.5 years ago, so you can't get involved anyway until, I guess, the rawness of the event is, if it can ever go away.
You don't have to worry so much about, am I capable of doing it? Of course you're capable of doing it.
Assuming that the volume of calls does increase and that this profile raising works, certainly something that we would need is more volunteers. We can manage the service as it operates now, but if we were to expand opening times, for instance, we would certainly need more people to help with that. Volunteers move on, and we're always looking to recruit new people.
We need these people to come through, and for them not to worry about. They don't have to have a degree. You've lost a child, unfortunately. It's not a club we all want to be part of, but You know, we've been given a membership basically, and so have they.
If English isn't their first language, they can phone the helpline, state the language they want to talk in, and the helpline operator can then get in touch with Language Line and set up a three-way conversation that goes through an interpreter.
Real life stories don't have neat endings. The death of a child affects and changes everything into the future and forever.
Some people will just call once or twice and get what they need from that. Other people will call on a regular basis and develop a relationship with the helpline. I think it's important to say a relationship with the helpline rather than a relationship with the helpliners.
I found it enormously helpful to talk to people who were further down the line, and they did give me confidence, and that's what I needed, that, you know, at some time the grief that I felt would occupy a different space in my life and not be so all-engulfing.
I suppose I still want people to know that it can be better. You will cope with it each day, each hour first, and then each day, each week. Weeks turn into months.
When you talk to people, when they put the phone down, I think you've made a difference.
And the feeling that my baby's death, something good has come out of it, that's really special for me.
I've got here, it is possible. It is possible to lose a child and come through.
I lost my daughter in 1984. I think of her every day, never ever forget her. I will never forget her. She would be very proud of what I've done, and I know that. I know that.
A few decades ago, I could never have imagined being here at all. And I don't think you ever get over the death of your child. The majority of parents find a way of going on with their life and finding other things that they can do and enjoy in time.